Hi, my name is Vagisa Tangaredu and my matrix number is S60155. Today, I'm going to do my individual assignment 1 for Accounting Information System, and my lecturer's name is Dr. Sikti Nurayan. First, let's take a look at our assignment question, our assignment instruction. Okay, this is our individual assignment 1. Let's take a look at the question. First, we need to prepare a context diagram to document accounts payable processing at SNS. Okay, and then secondly, we have to prepare a level O data flow diagram of SNS accounts payable. And lastly, we have to prepare a document flow chart to document accounts payable processing at SNS. Now, let's get started. First, we need to put a data source here. All right, okay. And then we can just copy and paste it. Okay. All right, and then you can just paste one more data source, and then one more data source. Okay. All right. Now we'll need a transformation process. Okay. All right. Okay, the first data source we have to put purchasing, and then the second data source we have to put receiving. Third one is management. Oops. Management. The fourth one is vendor. Right. Now in the transformation process, we have to put the S&S accounts payable. Okay. S and S accounts payable. All right. Okay. And now we have to put in the connectors. All right. Okay. To put one here. Another one here. And then here. And another one here. Oops. Wait. Okay. We have to, okay. Now okay. I have to change this one as well. Connector. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we just have to change the connector style to the curved lines. Okay, there we go. Now from purchasing, we'll get a purchase order. So we have to put here purchase order. Next, under receiving, we have to put receiving report. Receiving report. Okay. Okay. All right. Now under management, we'll have to put accounts payable report. Accounts payable report. And then here we'll have to put payment and remittance advice. And here we put invoice. Oops. Okay, so we are done with the first question. I'll explain a little. From purchasing, you'll receive a purchase order, and the purchase order will be sent to SNS accounts payable. And then from receiving, SNS accounts payable will receive a receiving report, and then SNS accounts payable will send out accounts payable report to the management team, and will also send a payment and remittance advice to the vendor, and then the vendor will send an invoice to SNS accounts payable. Okay. The second one, number 2B, okay. B, prepare a level O data flow program of SNS accounts payable. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we need the data process. Let's copy and paste. Okay, paste one more. Okay, paste. We need 6 data process. All right. Okay. Now we need a transformation process. So we're gonna take this, put it here. Okay. Copy, paste. Okay. Okay. This one will come here. All right. Now we need a data store. Okay, you have to put one here and copy, paste. We need another one right here. Another one here. One here. And okay. Now in the first data process, we have to put in vendor. And the second one, it's purchasing. And the third one, receiving. Fourth one, it's vendor again. Oops. Okay. The fifth one, it's management. Now in the first transformation process, we have to put 1.0 record payable. And in the second one, it's 2.0 collect and store purchase orders and receiving reports. Third one is 3.0 make payment. And the fourth one is 4.0 prepare management reports. And in the first data store, you're going to put in accounts payable. And the second one, you're going to put in vendor invoices. And the third one is purchase orders. Fourth one is receiving reports. First one is cash disbursement journal. And the fifth one is paid invoices. All right. Next, we're going to put in the connectors. First one is okay. Oops. Oops, I'm sorry. And reports. Okay. Now let's change it to the curve line. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay. Oops, oops, oops. Connector. Alright. Okay. Okay. Now okay, we have to add in invoice here, and then purchase order here, and then here we have to put in receiving report. Okay. Next, here we have to put in payment and remittance advice. Okay. Here we have to put in accounts payable report. Okay, let me explain a little about the second part. So, okay, 1.0 record payable. The vendor will send the invoice to the record payable, and the record payable will send the stored data to accounts payable and vendor invoices. Okay, and then let's take a look at 2.0 collect and store purchase orders and receiving reports. So we will receive the purchase order from purchasing and the receiving report from the receiving, and it will be sent to the 2.0 collect and store purchase order and receiving reports. And then the 2.0 collect and store purchase orders and receiving reports will send the stored data to purchase orders and vice versa, and it will also send the stored data to receiving reports. Next, the purchase orders and receiving reports will be sent to 3.0 to make payment, and the stored data will be sent to cash disbursements journal and vice versa. Next, the stored data from accounts payable and vendor invoices also will be sent to 3.0 make payment, and 3.0 make payment will send the payment and remittance advice to the vendor and paid invoices. Next, accounts payable will send the stored data to 4.0 prepare management reports, and the data will be sent to the management. The accounts payable report will be sent to the management. Okay, so now let's do question number 3. For question number 3, we have to prepare a document flowchart to document accounts payable processing at SNS. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. We need 3 columns. All right. So the first column got to be long a bit. Okay. Okay. So the title is SNS accounts payable. Okay. The first function is accounts payable, and the second function is controller, and the third function is owner or also manager. Okay. Now we need to add in 3 terminators. Copy, paste, paste. All right. And then we need a document. Document. All right. All right. And then we have to add in a two manual file. One under this one. One more under this. And then we need a manual operation. Get big a bit. Okay. And then we have to add in an IO. All right. Okay. And all right. And then one more document. Okay. We can just copy and paste from that and put it here. And then we need a multi document. Right here. All right. Okay. Oops. Multi document here as well. Oops. All right. Okay. We're done with the first column. Let's put in the words. In the first delimiter, we have to put in from purchasing. And then the second one we have to put in from receiving. Third one is from vendor. Okay, in the document with purchase order. Second one is vendor. Okay. Oops, I think I missed something here. I needed to add in a document here. And here we need to add in a manual operation. Okay. Here we need to add in vendor invoice. And here prepare monthly accounts payable. Accounts payable report. Receiving report. Purchase order. Okay. Here, oops. Alright, okay. Sorry, that took quite a while. Okay, the next one is down. Check 2. Second one is vendor invoice. The third one is receiving report. The fourth one is purchase order. Alright, okay. Okay. Next, I would finish the diagrams first. Later, I will put the connectors. So for controller, put a little circle here, and then multi-document. Okay. Document here, and then add in a manual operation, and then an IO. Okay. And then multi-documents. Okay. Then add in a circle here. Okay. Now the third column, multi-document. Okay. And then okay. Let's begin. Okay. Mhm. Render invoice. Yes. Reading the report. Then purchase order. Paper. Render. Check this adjustments. No. Okay. Here we have to put in 2. Then check 1. Here. Render invoice. Here. Reading report. Oops, sorry. Reading report. Then purchase order. Here we put in the word B. Okay. Now for the third column, we have to put in B. Next, purchase order. In report. Render invoice. One. Check 2. Review and checks. 1. To render. Okay. Okay, now let me explain a little about the question number 3. Okay, under accounts payable, the purchase order from purchasing will be sent to the clerk A, and the receiving report from receiving will be sent to the clerk A as well. And then after that, it goes to match purchasing order, receiving report, and invoice, and it will then later all the purchase order, receiving report, and vendor invoice will be sent to Ashton Fleming. And then from the vendor invoices will be sent to the clerk to be recorded for accounts payable, and then to be made into accounts payable ledger. And then the accounts payable will be sent to the accounts payable, and the vendor invoice will be sent to the clerk. And then the purchase order, receiving report, vendor invoice, and check will be sent to the clerk A. After that, from the accounts payable ledger, using the accounts payable ledger, the clerk will be able to prepare the monthly accounts payable, and after that, they will prepare the accounts payable report and will be sent to the clerk. Okay. After that, Ashton Fleming will send the purchase order, receiving report, vendor invoice to be for the preparation of vendor checks, and to be and the check disbursements journal. Okay, and then the vendor checks will be sent to the vendor checks alongside with the purchase order, receiving report, vendor invoice, check 1 and check 2 will be sent to Susan. So Susan. Okay, and after that, the purchase order, receiving report, vendor invoice, check 1 and check 2 will be prepared by Susan, and will be sent to review and sign checks. And then check 1 will be sent to the vendor, and purchase order, receiving report, vendor invoice, and check 2 will be sent to another clerk. To that, accounts payable report, the clerk will prepare the accounts payable report, and the accounts payable report will be reviewed and be sent to another clerk. Okay, that's it.